hello. Please like, comment, and share because Sunday is a bad day for the algorithm and I decided to make a big topic on it. So, yeah, please and thank you. I love you. Okay, so what is this huge topic? This huge topic is scenes. We're talking about scenes. What are they and how do you write them? Fado is dancing around. Sorry if you hear him. Okay, scenes are one of those things I get asked about a lot, and with good reason. There's a lot that can go wrong when writing a scene, and scenes are basically the building blocks of your story, so having bad building blocks probably isn't good. And scenes are basically like the first test of your writing skill. They test everything about your writing, which is why it's so easy to mess them up, and why it's basically okay that you're messing them up early, because they're hard. And for the quickest and most simple advice I have on this, it's think of scenes as short stories, because basically that's what they are. They're single scene stories. I'll be honest, I didn't really have a strong grip on scenes until I started writing a few short stories here and there. And yeah, I'd highly recommend doing that. Like, I don't think you have to learn to write scenes. I don't think you can't learn to write scenes during a larger project, but I'm just sharing with you how I learned, and it's a lot easier when you have a single story to think about rather than a million plot arcs. You can learn a lot, but I think it really speeds up the process if you do a few short scripts. No harm, no foul, you just get a script out of it, yay, okay? Alright, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of it from here. Let's stop rambling about short stories. Like, the first thing you need to realize about scenes is what they are and what they are not. A scene is not whenever you cut to a different location. A scene can be a montage of several events and several locations. That's completely acceptable, and a scene can likewise occur back to back without even changing the time of day or location. Then, like, what is a scene then? Like I said at the top, a scene is a short story. Yes, they often exist when we open to a location and then cut away, but that is just the typical way scenes are handled. Scenes are arcs, which is why I am discussing them now instead of earlier on in the process, despite them being like the first thing you're gonna write, right? Every time you write a scene, no matter how small, it has a lace-type plot and a complete story arc. I'll link to those videos right here above. Like, here's one, and then we gotta like wait a little bit. And then here's another one. Okay, there's your videos, the prerequisites for this. But the arc of a scene is going to be a little less wild compared to an entire story, but it's there, even if subtle. And in really, really small scenes, it'll be barely perceptible and you can flub it a little bit. But by that, I mean like 1 to 2 page scenes. Once you get up there, there's going to be some sort of arc. And either way, your scene is going to be either about characters getting from one place to another, getting an answer to a question, a shift in character, or recovering from an event. And that's what brings me to the purpose of scenes. I'm going to say this a million times throughout this whole 100 days of making comics thing, but all scenes have a purpose. Occasionally, they'll have more than one, but there is typically only one main thing that each scene is trying to get across. That can be world building, character, a plot point, anything. If the reader needs to know the information to understand your story, you give that information a scene in which it is conveyed. Usually the best way to do that is through an answer plot, but there are many other ways. That's just how it typically unfolds, especially early on in a very setup, dense kind of story. Okay, alright. Now, all of those elements then apply to our next concept when it comes to writing scenes, and that is the two types of scenes you can make. There are action scenes, and then there are reflection scenes. Both contain the same elements as mentioned, but they are important to make note of. Action scenes don't exclusively mean like sword fight action. They can be any scene where stuff happens, active stuff. That includes big reveals, battles, a breakup, anything. All major plot turns fall into this category, and by that I mean like midpoint, inciting incident, climax. Those are active scenes. The second type is a reflective scene. These scenes are always tied to an action scene and come after them, either right after or a few scenes later. The most notable reflective scene is your resolution, which occurs after your climax. That's a good example of what a reflective scene kind of is. One way to think of them is as a sequel to your action scenes. They're particularly important to be included after scenes that had many plots come together, or a lot of information was dropped, or you've completely stirred the pot a whole bunch and your characters are in shock, or like the action is getting to a unsustainable proportion. Like it just keeps getting more and more action to the point where you're like, okay, we need to stop. I can't get any more action here. This is the midpoint. We need to calm down, right? The reader needs to have a break, and that's when you add this kind of scene. These scenes serve the purpose of reflecting on information obtained or contextualizing a large event, giving your characters time to take a breather and consider their next course of action. Often stories that are too fast and confusing need a lot more of these scenes. These scenes are usually answer or character plots. Occasionally there'll be like a location plot tied in, because location plots aren't that game changing. You can be traveling from one place to the other while doing a character shift. That's fine. And all of that leads me to my final part that I need to address, and that is the ending of scenes. And I'm going to do that in a different video because, man, this is a big topic. And yeah, so stay tuned. I'm going to leave it on a cliffhanger. It's Sunday. I need a break, okay? Man, let's end without an ending. That's the problem, right? Alright, okay, so see you guys on Tuesday for more talks. It'll be great. And see you guys on, is it Thursday? The 16th? The 16th? Wait a minute. Tuesday. Oh, see you guys on Tuesday. That's when our Kickstarter is. Oh my goodness. Man, a video from me and the Kickstarter begins. Holy heck. Alright, I hope you guys do well with your scenes. Scenes are pretty cool. 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Goodbye.